Welcome to a place where hearts unwind, infinite threads that gently bind, love and compassion in every line. Together we rise through space and time.
Welcome back to Infinite Threads. I'm your host, Bob. When you start loving all life more deeply, people, animals, strangers, even the ones who challenge you, something unexpected begins to happen. The world around you doesn't just feel different, it looks different. Not because the world changed, but because your eyes did. Love doesn't just soften your heart. It reshapes your perception. It turns on lights in corners you've walked past your entire life without noticing. It reveals truths that were always there, just waiting for you to be ready. Today we're exploring that moment when love becomes a new lens. The lens that shows you how you've really been seeing the world all along, and how much more is possible when your vision begins to clear. We grow up learning how to see the world by watching the people around us. Parents, teachers, friends. We borrow their fears, their expectations, their beliefs, their assumptions. We inherit their interpretations without even realizing it. Think about it. Some of those interpretations are loving. Some are wise. But some are narrow, rigid, or rooted in their pain rather than their truth. Without meaning to, we learn who is safe and who is not, who deserves compassion and who doesn't, who counts as one of us and who doesn't, who gets our patience, our empathy, our time, and who does not. These are all learned things, and you build habits through your life, and you just don't even realize it because it's the way it is. These assumptions shape our reactions before we're even aware they exist. And then love shows up. Real love, unconditional love, and suddenly the world becomes unfamiliar. Not frightening, just different. Like you've been walking your whole life in a room with fogged windows and someone quietly wipes the glass clean. You look out and think, how did I never see this before? And the truth is simple. You couldn't. Not until you softened. One of the first shifts love brings is this. You stop seeing people as their actions. It's tough. The things we've been going through lately, it may seem impossible. But you start seeing the life underneath those actions. A rude person becomes a hurting person. An angry person becomes a scared person. A withdrawn person becomes a tired soul trying to hold it together. A cold person becomes someone who learned long ago that warmth wasn't safe. And guys, this doesn't excuse behavior. It explains it in a way that makes compassion possible. When love widens your perspective, judgment loses its grip. Not because you're blind, but because you're finally seeing clearly. You begin asking different questions, like what pain is alive in them right now? What fear is driving this reaction? What story shaped the way they show up? What kind of love have they never received? And just like that, the sharp edges of the world begin to soften. When people do things bad to other people, they are not functioning correctly. Something's wrong. Not because the world, things soften not because the world is any less sharp, but because you're no longer meeting it with your own sharpness. Here's the part that takes courage. Love doesn't just reveal truth in others. It reveals truth in you. You start to notice your own biases, your own patterns, your own reflexive reactions, your own assumptions that once felt like facts. If you're honest with yourself and you take apart your own flaws, you'll find a lot of interesting things. And instead of feeling ashamed, you feel curious now. Because you see now that every judgment you carried, every snap reaction, every stereotype, every internal rule about who deserves what was learned. It wasn't your essence. It wasn't your heart. It was inherited behavior from a world still learning how to love. And it's not blaming your parents, your grandparents, it's the world you inherited it from. When you realize that, you stop being afraid of your own blind spots. You start welcoming them because now you have the lens that can actually see them and identify them and catch them. Love is light, and light reveals. It shows you where you've been hardened, where you've been defensive, where you've been unknowingly closed, where your own story has shaped the way you interpret someone else's. And instead of running, guys, you soften. Because every insight becomes an invitation to grow. There's a kind of humility that comes with this awakening. It's a humility that says, I thought I understood people. I thought I understood behavior. I thought I understood the world. But I was looking through a narrow window. And now that window's beginning to widen. It's humbling, but it's also breathtaking. It is breathtakingly amazing when you start to see things through this different lens. You begin to see the way a service worker holds exhaustion behind a forced smile, which makes you care for them. It makes them family immediately. The way an older person moves slower because they've lived through more than you realize. The way a child's laughter is a small miracle of innocence. The way animals respond to kindness with an openness humans often forget. The way nature communicates in rhythms you never noticed before. When you truly love all life forms, every ordinary moment becomes extraordinary. Because Nothing is just background anymore. Everything is alive. Everything is connected. Everything is speaking in its own way. You realize you weren't seeing a world full of separate pieces. You were seeing a tapestry far too closely. Now you're finally stepping back and the pattern is emerging. The world hasn't changed. The world hasn't become kinder or softer or more compassionate. You have. You made that choice. And because your internal lens is clearing, your external world appears different. And here's why. When you are defensive, you see threats. When you are fearful, you see enemies. When you are numb, you see people as objects. When you are rushed, you see only obstacles. But when you are loving, really loving, you see truth. You see humanity. You see suffering. You see potential. You see innocence. You see the wounded child inside every adult. And there is one in every adult. You see the spark behind every life form that says, I want to be safe. I want to be seen. I want to be loved. Love restores sight. Not physical sight, soul sight. And once that sight awakens in you, you cannot return to the old blindness. Not because you refuse to, but because it's impossible to unsee what compassion has shown you. As you walk through the world with this new lens, you will notice something both strange and beautiful. You react differently. You breathe differently. You speak differently. You listen differently. You forgive more easily. You apologize more freely. You assume less and you care more. Those are the changes you're going to see in yourself. The world hasn't softened, but your impact on the world has. You begin to create pockets of peace where conflict used to live. You begin to bring understanding where tension once thrived. You begin to feel a kinship with life in all its forms, humans, animals, nature, that once felt impossible. And that kinship, it's not a philosophy. It's not a belief. It's a felt sense. It's the truth beneath everything. This is what unconditional love reveals. Not a new world, but the world as it truly is. Love doesn't just open your heart. It opens your eyes. It reveals the biases you inherited, the stories you believed, the assumptions you carried, and the ways that you've misread the world without meaning to. And it replaces all of that with a clearer vision. A vision shaped by compassion, guided by curiosity, and grounded in connection. And guys, once you start seeing through love, you're not just observing life anymore. You're participating in it. You're contributing to its healing. You're becoming part of the light that helps others see. And step by step, guys, moment by moment, you will watch your old worldview dissolve. Let it go. Not because it was wrong, but because something truer has arrived. A clearer lens, a wider heart, a deeper understanding. This is what love reveals. Thank you, guys. I know this one was a really long one, and I just got into it. I love you guys very, very, very much. And you know what I need you to do. Go out and pass that on. Later, Gators. Bye-bye.